I am adamant that identity begins with narratives, and having an illustrious historical narrative is the foundation of a strong identity. And the good thing about having narratives is that they don't need to strictly abide by historical facts. In fact, almost all the great novels of China, like Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Investiture of the Gods, Journey to the West, Water Margin Stories, are fictional narratives gloss over historical settings. These fan fiction can often be more important in shaping the identity of a culture than the actual historical record itself. Imagine a fan fiction that outgrew the original source material. No one claims that Romance of the Three Kingdoms is a historical record, but no one can deny that the impact of the novel on the Chinese identity far outweighs the actual historical document itself. Now, I do not know whether it's ignorance, wishful thinking, or just miscommunication that caused the whole USM publication KunLun debacle. But instead of dwelling on the mistake, I think it's better to use this as an educational opportunity. After all, there are a lot of room for fictionalization of interaction between Austronesian speakers and Sino-Tibetan speakers that is sorely underexplored, going back at least 20,000 years. Now, coming back to the word Kunlun itself, this word specifically refers to the Kunlun Mountains in the west of China, near Xinjiang and Tibet today. But historically, this word was a name given to a series of probably unrelated mountain ranges. The oldest records goes back to Zhuangzi Tiandi, a book written sometime during the Warring State period, 2,400 years ago, by the philosopher Zhuangzi, referring to a mountain north of the modern town of Chisui in Guizhou. Similar period writings like Li Sao by Qu Yuan also refer to Kunlun as mountains. A different early usage of the word Kunlun in the book of Shangshu refers to a country in the west of China. But dating the textual history of this book is problematic, and it could be as early as 3,700 years ago, or as late as Qin era 2,200 years ago, as parts were added continuously by scholars over the period. But the period after Han Dynasty is when the word gained an additional meaning, referring to things that are of dark color. And it is in this time that we start seeing the word Kunlun referring to places and people from the south and perhaps Southeast Asia. In Sui Jingzhu, written around 1,600 years ago, Kunlun was a place in the south reachable by ships. And in a poem Kunlun written by Zhang Ji 1,300 years ago, Kunlun was used for the first time to refer to a phenomena of rich Tang Dynasty families owning Kunlun servants as household helpers and bodyguards. The novel Kunlun Nu, one of the novels that gave rise to the USM publication controversy, was written shortly after the Kunlun poem mentioned above, and it tells of a story of a Kunlun servant whose physical abilities saved his master's lover from a court official's harem, but were subsequently discovered only to disappear by flying away during the pursuit. Now, it must be reminded that Kunlun Nu is a wuxia novel. Think Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, where characters sword fight on top of rivers and lakes and fly across rooftops. We read Lord of the Rings for entertainment, not as a historical account of how our ancestors had pointy ears and lived forever. On top of that, the Chinese did not use the word Kunlun to refer specifically to people of maritime Southeast Asia as well. It occasionally was used to refer to Negritos of Southeast Asia and also people of the Gangetic Plains as well. While it is unfortunate that novelized accounts of the exploits of an unspecified collection of people with darker skin than the Chinese was used in the context of nationalistic identity building, I nonetheless felt that such usage outside of academic settings should be encouraged. As mentioned above, the source material for inspiration of the interaction between Semitic and Austronesian people are rich. 20,000 years worth of source material for writers to weave into fan fictions, from their first split into O1 and O2Y haplogroup 20,000 years ago, to 8,000 years ago when these cultures come into contact again as Bronze Age societies, when Austronesian homeland ranges from Guangzhou all the way to Shanghai, perhaps even beyond, to their exodus 5,000 years ago from the Asian mainland as Sino-Tibetan speakers begin to organize into imperial entities, to their post-Exodus adventures sailing south from their reduced home range of Taiwan and Fujian into unforgiving and uncharted territories of Southeast Asia. There are so much opportunities for fictional adornment waiting for writers to explore, to weave into a narrative.